The biggest margin of victory in a UEFA Champions League final. PSG are crowned champions after winning 5-0 against Inter Milan. This was men versus boys, freshmen versus seniors, bosses versus interns, landlords versus tenants. I like that one. Barbers versus their clients because Inter got chopped up, trimmed up. iPhones versus flip phones. John Wick versus henchmen. Peak Barca versus Elche. Lions versus Gazelle. And ultimately, my friend, this was the best team in the world, quite possibly the best team of the past 10 years, going up against a trophyless Inter Milan and putting on a goddamn show. Your PSG side, my friend, your PSG side, crowned champions of the UEFA Champions League for the first time in their history.
PSG, baby. PSG. Come on, bring it in. Right. Come on, come here, producer. Let's go, man.
Soltero can stop smiling, man.
God damn, what a victory. And there's only one thing to do, by the way, in this episode, and that's to celebrate PSG, because this wasn't a football match at the end of the day. This was a demolition. This was a celebration. This was a fucking party in Munich. And by the way, the magic of Munich continues.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. The history.
It continues.
The history. Remind the folks, what was that magic once again, if they didn't see the last episode?
Every time a final is held in Munich, European Cup-wise, the winner, it's their first time winning it.
Damn.
Yeah, and PSG continue that. And this is the 5th time in a row. That has happened in Munich.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
You're basically Parisian at this point, man.
Yeah, it feels like it. It really does feel like it, man. And as you said, what a team, because 5-0? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I was expecting 3 goals, but realistically, this could have been 7 or 8.
Damn, man.
This could have been 7 or 8. Kvaratskhelia could have had 2 big chances. Barcola had 2 big chances that he missed. But again, I don't even really want to talk about Inter Milan. This is just about PSG. Because the way they approached this match, when they stepped out on the pitch, you just knew that they were the better football team. The moment the ref blew that whistle, it was just completely different approach from both sides. The way Inter Milan approached it, it just played into the way PSG are going to hurt you, man. And who was it who opened up the scoring? It was fullback Hakimi.
Yeah.
And that's PSG in a nutshell. When Hakimi's damn near a number 9 for half the game, that tells you how offensive this side is. And that's why I was just so proud and so happy to see PSG lift this trophy. They've been on a hunt for 14 years. 14 years since the new ownership came in 2011, and they finally pulled it off the relief. I feel it. The weight of 1,000 suns is no more. Fully. And PSG finally have their first UCL trophy. And hey, maybe this is the start of a new era for PSG.
Talks about dynasty talk with the way that we saw them play, bro. This was complete domination, and how fitting that this happens in a year where so many teams are lifting their first trophies. Crystal Palace win the FA Cup. You know, beautiful stories like that. How fitting that it's PSG this time around. A team outside of the top 3-4 leagues in the world playing the best football in the world. And what I love so much about it is, you know, so many claims about how much money is spent, all the money that went into PSG, all the expenses that they put into the squad. But this team played so beautifully that it almost makes you forget about all that, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was just beautiful football. And I'm glad that people got to experience that. Even though a lot of people will claim that the final was ultimately boring, it was boring because it was a complete annihilation, dude. Yeah. Complete annihilation. And the way that we saw so many players go off completely. My favorite highlight was the one where Vitinha carried the ball into the midfield off of a beautiful, I think, Dembele flick, back heel flip, receives it in the midfield line, carries the ball forward, hands it off to Désiré Doué, and Doué makes it 3-0 in this match, ultimately capping off an incredible performance for the 19-year-old. 2 goals, 1 assist. Are you kidding me, bro? Yeah. But then it's crazy because Kvaratskhelia got his moment. The guy off the bench, what's his name?
Mayule or something like that.
Even he got his moment,
know who he was, bro.
But I think that's such a testament of how much PSG dominated this game. The ref blew the whistle before the 90th minute even hit, bro, out of mercy for Inter Milan. That's how incredible this team is. And I mentioned before in the preview and the build-up to these matches, if PSG can make it past Liverpool, they can make it past Aston Villa, they can make it past Arsenal, 3 strong Premier League sides, and then make it past the one team that was able to dismantle an incredible Barcelona side, then we're talking about a historic team here.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's my takeaway, man. I bow down. I kneel at the feet of PSG because this is a historic club, and I'm really considering them as one of the best teams I've seen in the past 10 years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that actually. Like, I was trying to compare them to Madrid for last year, this PSG beats last year's. They beat them. This one's a fun one. Man City 2 years ago. This team beats that Man City team. I really do think so.
Man City only beat Inter 1-0, bro.
Exactly.
It was tight.
And that when you look at how Man City played, they had a lot of possession, but yeah, they really did struggle to score a lot of goals. Whereas this PSG side, I mean, it's goals galore, no matter who they play. So that's what's amazing about this PSG side. So I think for certain, PSG are the best team of the 2020s. For certain, there's not a doubt in my mind. I will make that claim right now. I will sign anything that says that. The only other team that I think could actually maybe go against this team would be like prime Madrid between 2014 and 2016, 2017.
What about the Bayern team that won like in 2018 or 2019? What about that team? That team was a machine.
The Bayern team,
that
team
took down PSG.
They took PSG down. This PSG team beats that team pretty easily.
If the claim is that this is the best team of the past 10 years, with really the only real challenger being that Madrid team of the 2015s with Ronaldo, Prime Marcelo, those players,
Benzema,
I can join you on that. I can join you on that gladly. But as with every title winner that we have discussed on this podcast, I want to go through my rudimentary routine here of going through the squad list.
We have to.
And talking about the narratives, because I think that's one of the most fun things about this team. Outside of the whole conglomerate PSG, the fact that this is their first UEFA Champions League, it's a big moment for a lot of players in their careers right now. Starting off with Luis Enrique, obviously. Incredible story for him in lifting this trophy, playing some incredible football, the tactician, the mind, the genius behind this team. I mean, what do you have to say about Luis Enrique, what he's been able to achieve? Because I honestly didn't know he had this in him.
Yeah.
The fact that he was able to do it with this PSG team, a team that's been riddled with so many disastrous coaching options, finally Luis Enrique arrives and he gives them the glory.
What's really stood out for me when it comes to Enrique's coaching here at PSG is his ability to change the mentality of this team within a season. I've never really seen anything like it. PSG, the first half of the season, were terrible. They were losing to Atletico in the Champions League group phase. They were in 20th place with 2 matches left. Yeah. They were outside of contention or right on the fringe. And the second half of the season, I don't know what happened, but Enrique gathered up the boys and he said, boys, let's play football. Let's play what we do. Let's do what we do. And it worked. You look at other coachings with Ancelotti at Madrid, Company at Bayern Munich, all the Italian teams. They failed to change their issues throughout the entire season. Bayern played their Bayern way the entire season, and it didn't work. Barcelona also played their Barca ways, and it didn't work. Hansi Flick, he saw that they had problems at the back and he couldn't fix it. Or maybe he just chose not to. And it's the same thing with Ancelotti at Madrid. There was a chemistry problem way back in September, and it was still present within their club in May. Enrique saw the issues he had with his team mentality-wise the first half of the season, and he changed it in January, and look what has happened. Brilliant. And they end up being one of the best Champions League teams over the last 10 years.
And a player who I think was a huge catalyst for why they were even able to lift this trophy, ultimately didn't have to make an appearance at the final. They could have put anybody in this position.
Yeah.
But it's none other than Gianluigi Donnarumma, man. Because he did all the hard work and the build-up to this game. Once he got here, basically nothing came at him in this match, and it's a testament to how he's guided that backline and carried PSG's defense in moments of despair, of chaos, of drama. Came up huge against Liverpool, Aston Villa, and Arsenal. Donnarumma has to get a mention here. Congratulations to him. He's got a Euro on his resume, and now he's got a Champions League. He's finally got his biggest trophy now at the club level, and it's just nice to see because he does deserve it after what he did in the knockout stages.
Yeah, Premier League is the most offensive league in the world. Donnarumma had to come up big, and he did it 6 games in a row. Ridiculous. He's the reason why they're in the final, let's be honest. I mean, those Villa chances, even Liverpool's chances, Arsenal had several chances that could have made the game really, really tight. Donnarumma prevented all of those. He's the reason they get to the final, and the players rewarded him by not making him do anything. Ridiculous. And
before I mention the big names in the back line, just some interesting names that end up as Champions League winners. Kimpembe gets his Champions League victory. Lucas Hernandez ends up becoming a Champions League winner. Beraldo, who played important minutes throughout this season. Nice rotation player. But I mean, before I get to I would say the biggest name in the back line, let me mention Pacho. Let's talk about Pacho, first Ecuadorian ever to lift the UEFA Champions League. Congratulations to him. That's beautiful, beautiful story. Amazing talent. He completely surprised me this year. The way that he slotted into his back line. He is playing in his first year with PSG, but he made it seem like he's been here for 10 years, like Marquinhos. Yeah. Just a great pairing alongside him. Came up huge, especially in that Aston Villa game. Ultimately saved PSG with a goal line clearance. He stepped up to the moment, and I actually am surprised by that because I didn't know he was at this level yet. He is an absolute baller and a very deserving Champions League winner.
Yeah, Pacho's story is so cool. All the way from Independiente del Valle in Ecuador, goes to Belgium, then goes to France, then goes to PSG. He worked for this to get to a team like PSG. And honestly, he's a great story that all Mexican players should follow. Because the path from Latin America to Belgium is very, very doable. And then from there, show your worth and you will get noticed. Pacho's the perfect example of that.
So you saying this could have been Cesar Montes?
Exactly.
For real?
No, exactly.
Damn, man.
Exactly. Pacho's very, very good, but he's worked for it. He's shown his worth by going and climbing up the ladder of football.
We got three major names here. I don't even know how to break these down. Hakimi, Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes.
Yeah.
Incredible. Just all three. I don't really have that many words. Incredible from all three. Hakimi specifically was insane.
Dude.
Insane this whole run.
Insane,
this whole year.
Man.
Reached another level that I did not know he was capable of because he was already at a very high level as a fullback in the modern game. Marquinhos finally gets his moment after being doubted and ultimately falling short in the Champions League in big games throughout his entire career. Gets his moment this season. And then Nuno Mendes was just insane as well. Just a relentless machine in that position. Scoring important goals as he did against, I think it was Aston Villa.
Yep.
And just coming up huge for this team. Those three players were, just complete standouts in this back line.
Yeah, and those three players are the only players that have been with each other for more than like 2 years, actually. Mendes, Marquinhos, and Hakimi. Everyone else has just come in over the last 2 years. So they're the only ones with actual chemistry with one another. But I think what really stands out, Mendes, one of the most physically imposing fullbacks, I think, in all of world football. Hakimi, the most offensive fullback ever. Obviously, there's players that have really good balance of offense and defense, like Carvajal, for example, João Cancelo. But Hakimi's all out. He is damn near a winger 90% of the time, but he still occupies that right back position. It's insane to see. I've never seen a coach let a fullback be so free. Because even Cancelo, with the way that he's played and all the coaches that he's been under, they still, they don't let him go full out and join the offensive line. But Hakimi's a winger. He's a number 9. He's scoring goals every other game. He's getting assists. He's doing it all. I've never seen a fullback be that offensive as Hakimi. And then for Marquinhos, man, Marquinhos has seen it all. He's seen it all with PSG. He joined them when he was 19 back in 2013.
Wow.
2013. He's been here for 12 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
12 years. He has made every single Champions League appearance every year for PSG since this new reign has begun. He has failed every time. He is the example of fail, and then you succeed.
Yeah.
He's done it all. He has learned so much from every single player that has been rotated through this PSG side over the last 12 years. I mean, he's played alongside Thiago Silva. Imagine what he's learned from a legend like that, but just the amount of offensive talent that he's seen not be able to do it, and this is the team that he does it with. Captain of the side. I can't think of a player more loyal and more deserving of a Champions League trophy than Marquinhos.
That's true, man. I think he was quoted saying after he won the trophy that this trophy is for everybody who's come through PSG in like the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And it means a lot coming from him, man, because he has seen all of those players
seen it all
come and then ultimately give up on the PSG dream to go pursue either money or a career shift. Marquinhos stayed.
Yeah.
He stayed. And I mean, I feel like he's been criticized a lot because of those failures, and some you could say it's deserving with how he ultimately was at fault for a lot of those moments. But that's why I think it means even more now that he's at the forefront of this victory, lifting the title itself. Like he represents PSG in the modern era, especially, and it's just beautiful to see him finally close out his narrative of winning the biggest trophy at club football. I think he could die happily right now.
Yeah,
and it'd just be completely fine with him. He's done the biggest thing that he's been pursuing. It's beautiful to see. Maybe it translates to the Brazilian national team, because that's the next step.
Probably not.
Now let's look at the midfield, man. Let's look at the midfield with names like Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, Warren Zaire Emery, and João Neves.
Dude.
I'm throwing out big names, bro.
God
big names.
damn.
Players that had incredible seasons all around. Really, Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, and João Neves, because, I mean, they were just mainstays in the midfield. It never ultimately shifted between those three. And each one of them had their moment in this run to the title. And they just rotated like, who wants to have a banger game today? And it's just crazy because the talent is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The age of Vitinha and João Neves is very, very young. So the improvement was very clear from what we saw this year. And Fabian Ruiz with almost a little bit more of a veteran approach here, guiding this midfield, coming up big against Arsenal, scoring a banger in that matchup. All three, I just got to applaud.
Dude,
it's beautiful midfield play.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're like a three-body system that works completely in unison. They have some sort of telepathy with one another, and it really shows. And it definitely showed in this game because they were running circles around Inter Milan, making it look like cones, man. It was ridiculous how well they move that ball, man. But it's not just against Inter. They did it against Arsenal in the first leg. Yeah. They did it against Liverpool when it was necessary. Yeah. And Liverpool made it very hard for PSG, but they still found ways to move the ball. That's the beauty of this midfield of PSG. They can play against any style and figure it out. They're so dynamic. But truly, Fabian Ruiz, João Neves, Vitinha, 10 out of 10 performances, I think, in the knockout stages. They were rarely did they make mistakes. Obviously, mistakes, you can't prevent all of them, but I'm just so amazed by how well they move the ball. For me, just best midfield in Europe.
Dude, you look at the midfields they faced on the way to the final. Against Inter, obviously, Çalhanoğlu and Barella, big names there. Arsenal, you had Declan Rice on fire, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Prime
Rice. Controlled it like it was nothing. Aston Villa, you got big names like Tielemans. Yeah. You had McGinn. Yeah, maybe not as big as what Arsenal and Liverpool had, but still feisty midfields. Yeah. Then Liverpool's midfield is crazy. And to ultimately have won that matchup is ridiculous. This is an insane midfield run. Like, the midfielders themselves must be patting themselves on the back like, boys, we just did something special. And Fabian Ruiz specifically, winning the Euros and following it up with winning the Champions League, the only Spanish player to do that this year.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's ultimately him, a more under-the-radar type player for Spain's national team, Spain's player system, I would say. Yeah. Coming up big in 2 big tournaments. He's a big game player, bro.
Oh, dude, he's so fun to watch. He's so much flair when he just touches the ball, even not doing anything with it. He just has a way of moving the ball. But that's what I love about Ruiz's play. He's shown it when he was at Betis. Had some weird years when he went to Italy. Was still a good player. But the home that he has found with Enrique here at PSG, this is prime Ruiz. He's having the best 12 months of his career.
Now, I love my little Portuguese posse with Vitinha, João Neves. Yeah. You know, I'm a big diehard Vitinha guy.
He was amazing.
Love that he had a great final. Just love it.
He's amazing.
Shout out João Neves. Let's go to the forwards. Lastly, just highlighting them as they lift their first Champions League trophy. I got to start with Kvaratskhelia. That's a beautiful story, man, who not only lifts the Champions League trophy, lifts the Ligue 1 title and the Serie A title as well. 2 league titles in 1 year because he ultimately got transferred over in January. So he actually dedicated a lot of footballing time to Napoli's eventual title run, which is insane.
Yeah.
But then he follows it up by winning a treble with PSG and coming up big in the final and then the build-up to the final as well. Kvaratskhelia, my God. This guy is going to win everything. If it wasn't for the limitations of Georgia, if this guy was Brazilian or German or French, he would be winning everything. He'd be the next Mbappe in terms of awards.
Yeah.
I'm just happy. I'm just happy that he gets his moment, he gets his recognition, and that a player like him was given the opportunity and ultimately took advantage of it the way he has his entire career since he arrived at Napoli.
I love his play style, man. He's so direct. He gets the ball and he will turn you in an instant. And he's so quick with his ball release when he shoots as well. My favorite winger right now in all of football to just watch. Like, I don't care if he scores. I don't care if he assists. I just want to see Kvaratskhelia dribble the ball. He's so entertaining. When you think of the best swingers in the world, and I'm talking about Mohamed Salah, Prime Vinicius Jr., honestly, even Adam Lamine Yamal, I'm putting Kvaratskhelia right there at that same dinner table, feasting with the world's best. Kvaratskhelia, amazing. And honestly, amazing for PSG, too, to sign him mid-season.
Yeah.
Like, realistically... Yeah. going into January, I didn't think PSG needed an extra winger. I thought they needed another number 9 because Gonzalo Ramos doesn't really play. But instead, they get Kvaratskhelia, and it ended up being perfect because Barcola went a little cold this second half of the season. Kvaratskhelia comes in, and he proves the world that he's one of the best wingers. So what a signing for PSG, and what a performance from Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, we got to remember, they also got rid of Asensio. True, like they swapped them, and Asensio ultimately didn't live up to be what PSG wanted. Kang Lee was a signing that they got, but I feel like they didn't give him that same confidence that they have given Barcola, Désiré Doué, and Kvaratskhelia. I think Kvaratskhelia coming in was just the perfect piece that was needed. And what I'm realizing, bro, I think when it comes to winning a Champions League trophy, if you look at the past winners, you got to have electric wingers that are in the shape of their life, in the form of their life. Mm-hmm. Because you look at last year, you had Vinny Jr. on Ballon d'Or watch, having probably his best year ever. He was incredible, unstoppable in moments last year. The run he had was ridiculous, paired up alongside Rodrigo, who was not as bad as he was this year. The year before that, he had Jack Grealish and Bernardo Silva at the top of their games, dismantling Real Madrid's side in the semifinals and then taking over in that final. I think it's become very clear to me, in the modern game, you got to have electric wingers at the peak of their careers playing the best football to even have a chance at lifting this trophy, because PSG figured that out with the wingers that they have right now. But what I also like is that they figured out ultimately the problem that Real Madrid just can't seem to unlock, which is having lots of offensive talent up front and knowing how to rotate that, knowing how to feed that, how to play into that. Instead of becoming very individualistic, everybody gets their turn with this PSG team. And it's dope because that's reflected in the final, where every player that was up front for PSG either got a goal or an assist in this game. Real Madrid should watch this team as a blueprint for how to manage your players up front, remove that ego, lock in, take advantage of the skill that you have, and generate something beautiful. Because you look at this PSG team, I think the difference between what they have offensively and what Real Madrid has offensively isn't skill, but is the lack of ego, bro. And it's very clear that everybody's here to win with each other, and it results in a huge victory.
Well, that's actually an interesting point, because PSG are one of the youngest sides to ever win the Champions League.
That's crazy.
And I think that lends to your ego debate here, because they haven't had time to develop one. They're all just trying to prove themselves, all of them.
Yeah.
Outside of Dembele, but I think Dembele has humbled himself throughout his career because he's just failed.
He's reached some lows.
He's reached a lot of lows. So yeah, it's a hell of a point. And I think it's tough for Madrid right now because they've all already reached the peak of football. So how do you try and motivate that? Yeah. That's a hell of a question. And it's a hell of a job for whoever ends up being the manager.
That's for another episode. We're in Paris right now, brother. But I think it's represented in this front line. Let's talk Désiré Doué. Let's talk the 19-year-old coming over from Rennes this year as well, having his first year with PSG, slowly built his form, slowly built his role with this team as the season progressed. And it was that matchup against Liverpool where a lot of the world of football saw the danger that this young player possessed. But what we saw afterwards was that danger come to fruition. And we saw a great ball handler, a great decision maker in that final third. And in this game, a great finisher as well, slotting the ball past Jan Sommer, deflected goal for that first one, but still that danger that he possesses is very true. It's very different. It's a breath of fresh air in this modern game. The danger that he possesses when he's on the ball, it's scary. Player of the match in this game, and ultimately a sign that football is in good hands, man. What an incredible talent.
Yamal was the breakout star for Spain in the Euros. Désiré Doué is the breakout young star for PSG in the UCL, man. Thierry Henry said in post-game that Doué at the beginning of the season, he noticed like the talent's there, but his decision-making wasn't. And honestly, I noticed the same thing. That's why Barcola was getting all the playing time. But second half of the season, something clicked for Doué, and it really was that decision-making, because every decision he makes is to kill you now. And he's doing that at 19. At 19. He's so clinical, whether it's off the pass or in front of goal. He's becoming a complete player already. That's the scary thing with Doué. Usually when they're this young, they're like really good dribblers, but they can't seem to be good in front of goal. But Doué scored 2 goals in the Champions League final. 2 goals in the Champions League final, man. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So what he's doing doing already, he's going to establish himself as one of the best attackers because he's like a hybrid winger now at this point now. He's going to establish himself as one of the best attackers in all of world football.
Easily. And it's so exciting, bro, because the way that he plays, he's relentless. He plays with no fear.
Yeah.
To have just straight up the balls to play like that in a Champions League final, to get that starting nod and then deliver is very rare. And you know how I prioritize final performances a lot. I look at that as a big hallmark in a player's career and how they can handle big moments. The fact that it was Désiré Doué who had this type of performance, this kid is terrifying. He's terrifying. I think going forward, he might have kind of like that same Yamal impact where if he's on the pitch, you might have to double up on him. You might have to really key in on him because he unlocks a lot for this PSG team. Obviously, I think this team plays into his role more because everyone's so technical, everyone's so athletic on this team. It's tough to really focus in on one player, and so it makes everybody more dangerous. But Doué has the talent to just take over a game individually if he'd like. So I'm really excited to see how he does in these next 10 years. I hope he just continues progressing at this level because what a start, bro, to his career.
Dude, what a start. I mean, seriously, when I think about youngsters having a breakout season, I can only think of like a couple players. I'm like Mbappe in 2017,
Absolutely.
Yamal last year, and now Doué this year. Like that's it. And all three of those players, we've seen Mbappe's trajectory, World Cup winner at this point. He's done everything. Lamine Yamal's on an insane trajectory, and now Doué. Like I did not know Désiré Doué 12 months ago.
Dude, that's crazy.
I did not know who he was at all, and now. If I'm playing against him, as you said, like I'm watching him because I know he's one of the best players in the world.
He's got to be a lock for the Ballon d'Or Golden Boy Award, the one that Yamal won last year.
Oh,
he's got to be a lock for it.
Locked,
right? I don't think he'll win the Ballon d'Or. He might be like a top 10 nominee for sure. We'll talk about that on Reynoso Mountain, but I think he has to be a lock for the Golden Boy Award, absolutely, with what he was able to do this knockout stage. Gonzalo Ramos ends up being a UCL winner. Ends up making the right choice, I guess, by joining PSG from Benfica. Kenyan Lee gets his moment. Coming from Mallorca under the tutelage of the great Javier Aguirre, guides himself over to PSG, ends up not becoming, the go-to winger as I think PSG maybe would have wanted, but adds that depth to the team. He's that depth for them now. If one of these players gets injured, you put in Kenyan Lee, you're pretty confident that something good is going to happen there. So I love that for him. Bradley Barcola, UCL winner, Bradley Barcola.
Yeah. Honestly, great. I mean, he did have a weird second half of the season. He did. Yeah. Should have had a goal in this final, but he
had a crazy move, man.
Bro, crazy move. Drag the ball, drops the defender. I wanted that goal to go in so badly, man. But no, I mean, top talent. Top talent, bro.
And then I'm kind of leaving the best for last year. Ousmane Dembele. Is he a lock for the Ballon d'Or?
It's either him or Salah. It depends because Salah had a record-breaking season. Numbers-wise. He did win the Premier League, which I consider the most competitive league in the world. So it's either Dembele or Salah. It just depends on what people, I guess, rate more. Premier League or UCL?
I rate a treble. Me personally.
Okay, yeah.
I rate a treble. If I was a voter, this is how I would look at it because I totally get the arguments of the numbers from Salah, even the numbers from Rafinha, the star moments of Lamine Yamal. But this is a treble, bro. And this is a team that we're discussing as one of the best teams of the past 10 years. And I don't think that's being prisoners of the moment. I think that's genuinely true. You watch this team play. This is incredible levels of football. What a beauty that amazing that football has reached this point. 2025 football is ridiculous. This is what PSG represents.
Yeah.
Give it to the best player on the team. Give it to the guy that represents all the best attributes of this team in one player. Because he ultimately didn't have that much of a crazy impact in this final, but this dude tracks back. He's clinical in build-up play. He has some crazy back flicks in this match to just continue ball possession. He just seems like he's completely figured out the role of his life. And he's been slotted to be the go-to guy for whatever's needed from him offensively. He fed Désiré Doué in that deflected goal, the second one to start.
That second goal, the build-up, amazing. Dembele takes it on that left-hand side. And the way Dembele touches the ball has always been weird. It's always been wacky. But he's now figured out how to use it to his full extent. He just pops it pops it with the perfect amount of pace and whip. It finds Doué, and Doué does the rest. But Dembele's been doing that every single game.
Yeah.
You're right. He's clinical in build-up, and he's also found form in front of goal. Best player on the team.
Shout out Pacho on that second one, bro. He saved the ball from going out of bounds. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's what started the counterattack. I think Dembele, he has the numbers. Sure, he hasn't had like the crazy moments of Yamal, Salah, and these record-breaking numbers. But to me, he's the best player on the best team. I would not be mad whatsoever if he ends up lifting the Ballon d'Or. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if any of these players I mentioned lifted the Ballon d'Or at the end of the day. But I just think it's absolutely merited. It's deserving. You're crazy if you don't think he doesn't deserve it, because this PSG team is truly something special. And he's had an incredible year. And now he's a UEFA Champions League trophy winner. We mentioned it. He's had some very low lows, especially with Barcelona. It's just insane that this is even a reality in 2025. Ousmane Dembele as a Ballon d'Or candidate and now a Champions League winner.
Yeah, dude, that's you can actually say that about this whole PSG squad, because I'm just so surprised that they reached this heights. I am so shocked. You asked me if PSG were the best team in December, I would have said no many times, bro. I mean, I would have been like the top 25 maybe. They weren't even that good, but they just completely flipped. They completely flipped in January, and every single player, 10 out of 10, they're one of the best in their positions now. And now it gets me really excited to see what PSG can do next season, because they're so young, bro. There's, like you said, there's no ego in this side. There's only youth outside of Marquinhos. And what's crazy, Marquinhos isn't even that old. He's only 31.
Right, yeah. He's
only 31.
33 or something. He's 31.
He's 31.
Damn.
It's ridiculous.
He might be one of those defenders that has a better 30s than he did 20s. That might be the type of player he's set up to be.
Yeah.
Mbappe leaves and PSG win a title. Is there any actual weight to Mbappe's absence leveling up PSG?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I mean, because you see what happens when Mbappe plays for Madrid. He takes up so much space, and it makes the players around him not know what to do. It takes a really good coach to coach an Mbappe-led team. And I think what Mbappe's absence did is it let Doué Barcola just play free-flowing football. And it also let Dembele be the number 9. And Dembele has found so much joy in that position because he can roam anywhere now. If Mbappe's in that front line, Dembele's stuck to the wing. And he can't be as impactful. And you can say that about all of the offensive line players for PSG. So, yeah, Mbappe's absence, brilliant impact-wise for PSG.
I have to agree, man. I have to, because I think a big part of Luis Enrique isn't even the offensive impact. It's the tracking back, the effort. Kvaratskhelia tracks back like Luis Enrique kidnapped his family, bro. Like he's got something on the line. Yeah. Every player puts in that extra effort. And Mbappe didn't do that. He didn't do that. In a way, he made up for it with his offensive talents. And that did get you far. It got you many Ligue 1 titles and Coupe de France, but at the highest level of club football, that's not going to get rewarded. You're not going to win something like that. When he leaves, it gives the players, as you mentioned, more ability to perform offensively, but I think also allows Luis Enrique to actually build a squad, actually build a team that gives Luis Enrique the ability to build a team with an identity, man. No egos whatsoever. And we see it represented in this Champions League final. Tough one here. Who wins the Super Cup, Tottenham or PSG?
Tottenham or PSG. God damn.
How bad is that scoreline going to be, bro?
Yeah, bro.
That's going to be bad.
Yeah. Well, it'll be beginning of the season,
Yeah, true.
Maybe PSG send their B team anyway.
That's a crazy matchup on paper. In the sense that it just doesn't make sense to me.
But also, just very quickly, just because I do want to mention it, Europa League and Conference League winners, both Premier League teams, right? But not just any Premier League teams. Europa League was Tottenham, who are damn near at the bottom of the league in the Prem. That's crazy. And their opponent was also right next to them in the bottom of the league, Manchester United. And for Chelsea, they played a team that table-wise is very similar to them, the La Liga version of Real Betis, and they destroyed them in the second half. And I just think there's a huge trend for Premier League teams coming, man. Yeah. I think this world's going to look more and more English as you look at it from just a neutral European view. I don't think that's a bad thing because, I mean, PSG had to get through 3 back-to-back Premier League sides, and those were some of the best games I've seen in all of Champions League. So it's a good thing, but for the rest of the world, I'm a little worried.
It's getting scary now.
I'm a little worried.
It's getting really, really scary, especially when you look at Inter Milan.
That's
for as hopeful as that team was at one point, trophyless.
Yeah.
Harsh ending to their season, by the way. They were on treble watch at one point. They lose the Coppa Italia to AC Milan, who's been garbage this year. And then they fall short in the Serie A. Napoli ends up winning a miraculous trophy. Congratulations to them. Champions League final. It's given me a little bit of the air that I felt back when Liverpool was on that quadruple watch, and even then we still won trophies. This is brutal for the Italians. No trophies, trophyless at the end of the season, but in a way indicative of the level of this Inter Milan team and ultimately what we kind of expected when you look at this squad, not comparable to the greatness of this PSG team.
I just think, and we saw it last year, if you have a really good Champions League path to the final, almost anybody can get there. Dortmund last year went trophyless.
That's true.
And they made the Champions League final. And realistically, even though it was a fun 30 minutes, Madrid dominated Dortmund, right? The scoreline wasn't as reflective as it was 5-0 today, but it was dominant from Madrid. Dortmund tried. But Inter Milan, it's the same thing. I thought that they had not an easy path. Don't get me wrong. Barcelona were very, very difficult. But now I'm wondering if Aston Villa was on the other side. Dude, I think Villa could have gone to a final.
They probably could have, man.
I really think they could have gone. Liverpool, if they were on the other side, 100% would have gone to the final. They would have destroyed Inter Milan. So I just think, you got to look at the paths you take. It's nobody's fault. Inter Milan, I mean, obviously take the path you're given. But yeah, this happens a lot in Champions League where there's clearly a stack side and the other stack's wide open.
That does keep happening. Yeah. I am happy though that we got the Liverpool matchup at some point. I'm just glad that happened.
True.
Because the only hypothetical I'm left with is what would have happened in that PSG Barcelona matchup. Now with this final performance, I'm going PSG no matter what. They are the winners. They deserve it. I'm not putting an asterisk whatsoever. I'm just saying they would definitely put up a better performance than Inter Milan.
Definitely.
At the very least.
Yeah, they would have.
And that's my only qualm with that is that I didn't get to see that matchup of Barca, PSG in a final. I think that would have been really exciting. I still think PSG would have come on top now. I would have I switched my mentality after what I've seen. But damn, man, Inter Milan gave us nothing, bro, in that final. And I'm actually kind of mad at them for that.
Yeah, it's just they played into it, man, big time. They played into it
like,
so big,
what did Inzaghi think was gonna happen, bro?
That's
he had
what
no
I'm saying.
game plan.
He just said, "Let's defend it, boys." But you're defending against the most offensive side. You're doomed.
I don't know. I thought there'd be more.
You're doomed, bro. But also, they looked nervous when they took the pitch. I did not like Martinez's reaction. He looked shook before the game started. He's their captain. He was the captain, and he was like damn near in tears.
Yeah.
And I'm just that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And it was 2-0 by the 20th minute.
Yeah, and
it's tough, man.
Brutal. It was brutal, and I just think the talent of this PSG team suffocated Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Dumfries bro. That dude had 5 goals and assists combined against Barca. Can you imagine if this had been 2 legs?
Oh,
Inter Milan has to be thanking God that this was a final setting, bro. If this is 2 legs, we're going into double-digit scoring, man.
Yeah.
Brutal for the
Really
Italians, man.
brutal, bro.
I'm just disappointed because I was hoping for something special to happen here for Inter Milan and for a proud performance at the very least against a very good squad. They couldn't even give me that, man.
When I think of most embarrassing losses in high-stakes situations, number 1, Brazil, Germany 7-1.
Yeah.
Number 2, PSG, Inter Milan 5-0. I just can't think of a more embarrassing loss in a high-stakes situation. High stakes.
This one might be even more. I mean, I think culturally, the Brazil one was very embarrassing because it's Brazil, it's what it represents. But there was a clear difference between both those teams on paper going into the game. This is the highest level of club football, right? This is where you get to build the strongest teams possible. You get to invest that money. You would think that these players would offer more in a final setting. It's the biggest gap, bro, in a final game in the UEFA Champions League, man. Ever. 5-0. And you said it could have been 7 or 8, bro. That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's
bad.
embarrassing, bro. So, yeah, let's go PSG, Inter Milan. PSG, I wish you nothing but the worst, especially at the Club World Cup. But
and that's the thing, though, too, is I went for PSG not because I hate Inter Milan, but I just thought it was clear that the better team, man. There's nothing personal with my takes, by the way. So all Inter Milan fans out there, I just say like, it's clear PSG had the better midfield. Barella's had a bad season. Mkhitaryan and Çalhanoğlu ain't it. They're not it. Thuram and Lautaro Martinez, while they are good, they need help.
They disappointed.
They need help, and their only help is Di-Marco and Dumfries. Dumfries good, but Di-Marco?
Yeah.
It's like, you think you're gonna win with that?
Yeah, work with against Barca.
Yeah, and that might say more about Barcelona than it does Inter.
Yeah, bro. Fuck Barca's D.
That's the problem.
Jesus Christ.
So it's just, PSG, it's so deserved because, you already said it. 3 Premier League teams defeated. They beat Inter, who beat Barca. They beat Liverpool at some point. I think we got all the answers that we needed from this PSG side of this knockout stage. Is definitive.
Yeah.
PSG, the best club in the world.
And I think this kind of extends to one more point I want to make before we sign off. I think the 2010s was about Real Madrid, but then their dynasty in the UEFA Champions League dominating.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the second half of the 2020s is going to be a mix of most likely PSG with the youth of their squad just continuing to grow, now having an insane experience together. If they don't lose important pieces, if Désiré Doué stays with the team, doesn't get bought out from some other club, I think PSG alongside Liverpool and then maybe Barca if they can find a defense, because the offensive there is there. I think those are the 3 teams that are set to dominate the UEFA Champions League in the next 5 to 10 years. Notice a team I didn't mention, bro. Notice a team I didn't mention. Real Madrid, man.
Yeah.
I don't see how they fit into this picture with all the questions that they have at this moment.
Well, maybe they buy Doué. Maybe they just buy PSG. They get Fabian Ruiz. They get Fabian Ruiz to go to Madrid.
The thing is, here's what's interesting is that PSG is a fucking rich club.
Yeah.
And so it's not the typical Cinderella story where a team comes out of nowhere and wins and they get picked apart.
Yeah, like Monaco that one time.
It's PSG this time.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of money to go around where I don't see why Doué would want to leave. It's the best team in France, now the best team in Europe. I'm interested to see how a good PSG team impacts the transfer landscape, because in the past, they would get picked apart. Or in the past, they would try to go for those big name signings. But now they have a very organic, well-built team. If they just sustain it, they could keep on winning more trophies. I think that's possible.
Dude, yeah, I'm so curious to see PSG's transfers this summer specifically. If you're PSG sporting director, are you looking to add players? Obviously, you should, just because that's good due diligence, right? Try to bring in players every summer to bolster the squad, but after beating the next best team 5-0, do you need to add anything?
I think I could see them adding. I'm more curious about who they sell if any of that happens. Who would we even want to leave?
Who would want to leave?
Zaire Emery?
Right, Zaire Emery. I could see that happening. For example, I would actually love to see Lee Kang-in get playing time. So I would actually love to see him go because I want to see him play. He's not playing at PSG. But do you, for example, sell Ramos, who just doesn't play with the squad? He doesn't really fit in. If you do get a true number 9 over the summer, well, that might mess with Dembele's positioning. Yeah. So it'd be it almost would not be smart to, play into the transfer window. If I'm the sporting director, I'm going to the president. I'm being like, look, man, please, let's just don't criticize me if I don't get a player this season. Let's just sell players maybe, and maybe in January we see how we're doing.
I think just depth pieces is all they should be going for.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing why Nuno Mendes would leave. I'm not seeing why Willian Pacho would leave. He just got here. Yeah. Marquinhos is staying here for the rest of his life. Hakimi is staying. Donnarumma is staying. The midfield, Neves, Vitinha, they in a way just arrived as well. Their recent transfers, they're not leaving anytime soon. Fabian Ruiz is not leaving anytime soon. Just the timeline of these players. Doué is the only one where I'm curious. Does he want to go? What if he wants to go to Barca? And just build a Lamine Yamal Doué duo. That could happen, I guess. But the rest of the players, I just see no reason for them to leave, which is a bad sign for the world of football. In the sense that this team is going to remain dangerous for a while if they stick together.
Yeah, it's so cool to see. It's the same question we kind of had for Madrid because we didn't know Mbappe was going to join. Their only question was, Can they just remain consistent? And that's my only question for PSG. Can they play the same exact way next year? That's it. If the answer is yes, they're an immediate top 4 side.
Immediate. Easy. Liverpool looking good though with these transfers.
Liverpool, man,
looking real good.
That's going to be fun to watch next year.
I need that Liverpool PSG final now. I already need it. I already need it. Fuck all the play up until then. Just give it to me straight. PSG winners.
PSG winners, man.
Final statement before we sign off.
No, I'm just so happy for this team. They've worked so hard. I can't think of a team more deserving. The youth that this team has with the veteranship of Marquinhos. They played some of the most beautiful football. It's what I wanted Arsenal to be these last couple of years.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
That fluid football. Yeah. But the difference is PSG has the offense to actually score the goals. That's the only difference. Arsenal are that close. Barcelona are close. They just need a back line. They need a Pacho. You know, they need a Hakimi, right? There's so many teams that are close, but PSG is a complete squad. And to see them lift their first ever Champions League trophy, what a time to be alive. We saw one of the most offensive games ever, 5-0. What a game. What a celebration for French club football, for Paris. I'm so happy for PSG, man.